Curious about the digital world? Want to know how to stay safe online? Tune in to CyberSense, where we explore the latest tech trends and cybersecurity tips.
Hey everyone, welcome to CyberSense Season 2, Episode 3. Had to think about that for a minute. I'm your host, Rob Holloway, joined by my co-host, Mike Maher. How's it going, Mike?
Super awesome.
Woo! Okay, so in today's episode, we are going to talk about LLMs and the insider threat. Don't worry, I'll explain all that sort of stuff in a minute. Mike is going to talk about, what are you going to talk about, Mike?
I'm going to touch on LinkedIn and the spy within and Blue Hammer and responsible disclosures.
So I'm guessing that's not Warhammer. We'll go into that in a second. The other thing I am going to jump on is booking.com, why you need to check your booking very, very quickly. But anyway, we're going to jump straight into it. So let us get into the first segment. Mike, I'm going to mix things up. Normally, I like to lead the charge, but I want to hear about one of your LinkedIn or Blue Hammer. Let's go.
All right, let's take it from LinkedIn. And yeah, thanks for the heads up warning that I was going to lead. I haven't had enough coffee yet. Okay, so this is being called BrowserGate because you cannot have a good scandal nowadays without gate being added to it. Okay, it's one of the rules.
It's one of the things that has just hung on there, hasn't it? It's like, okay, cool. Come up with something original, people. But anyway, go.
Yeah. So now it's going to be Scandal Gate AI.
Oh, just wait till my LLM, you'll see. So
Okay, so what is BrowserGate? BrowserGate is to do with LinkedIn covert surveillance scandal. So I'm sure we've all heard of LinkedIn and its wonderful job gaining prospects, and
it's a professional Facebook.
it is the professional Facebook. Unfortunately, it's becoming more Facebook than professional. But anyway, we'll leave that where it stands. But basically, a European group called Fairlinked has claimed and has quite a lot of documentation saying that LinkedIn is secretly scanning users' browsers. Now, what does this mean? It means that they are basically fingerprinting a lot of people's browsers. Fingerprinting is when, similar to how a fingerprint has a few unique differences to anybody else's, browsers and your browsing and your computer that you go onto a website with can be fingerprinted because, now you might say, well, I'm using a MacBook or I'm using a Windows device. There's millions of them out there. Yes, there is. But suddenly, you've got an external monitor or two. Now, how many people have an external monitor on a Windows device? And again, you're saying there's millions. Okay, how many have two? There's millions. There are. But how many of them have, say, a 24-inch monitor and a 27-inch monitor? Suddenly you're cutting the numbers down.
Yeah.
And who has what DPI dots per inch? It's to do with your display. These are all user configurable settings. Who has this? Who has that? And that's what this is doing. The LinkedIn scanner, it's checking for over 6,000 browser extensions. Now, again, you're thinking that's a massive number of extensions. It is. But when you start looking at who has a Windows device, who's using the Chrome browser, who's using extension A, B, and F, suddenly the numbers start falling massively, and it can come down to being a single thing. For instance, if you use the Tor browser, generally, Tor browser, for people who don't know, it's to do with sort of using the dark web and that. We won't dive into it too much here, but it's for covert communication. This could be a reporter in North Korea that wants to get secrets out to the rest of the world. It could be
whistleblowers,
spies,
that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Whistleblowers, anything like that.
Activists, everything.
But when you use this browser, it will open up at a fixed size. And if you click maximize my browser, it will actually tell you don't do this because it can be used to fingerprint your data. So the Tor browser automatically will open at a fixed size, and every Tor browser is at that size. This is a way to cut down on fingerprinting. So LinkedIn are going out there. I better start using the word allegedly.
Yes, please do.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
they're going out. They're checking over 6,000 browser extensions and other things. And this is where it starts to get quite, shall we say, this is where the litigiousness of it's going to come in, because it's going to start potentially going to start falling under GDPR allegedly, right, because some of the things that are being captured are religious, political, and health behaviors, because some of the extensions. So there are some people out there. There's quite a lot of Muslims out there who want to browse the internet as anybody else does, but in line with their excuse me, in line with their religious beliefs. And there are browser extensions that will basically they make the web pages more haram. They make it in
Yeah, so it'll
line
filter
with
specific things and that
it
sort of stuff. I totally get
filters
it.
and
Yeah,
blurs
yeah,
everything like that.
yeah.
But that is religious based. You're not allowed to collect that information.
Mm.
It, generally you're not allowed to collect it at all. But then there's also there's font based browsers for neurodivergent people. So
Yeah,
that's
I get it. So
health information.
there's a lot of information that they can collect here, but I
There
mean,
is.
and you're absolutely right. Like, this is going to get them in hot water if they are doing it,
Mhm.
and it's going to get them in a lot of hot water in GDPR and other things, especially health. Like you started to come into lines with potential HIPAA
Yep.
violations and that sort of stuff. These are massive potential lawsuits if they're not storing that data correctly, right? And they're not collecting it for with users' consent and that sort of stuff. Exactly what you're talking about. But I betcha, in that fine print, when you use their product, there will be a consent button. But the question
No,
I've got for
this
you
is the
here.
thing. This is the thing. It's
Mhm.
not in the privacy document at all.
Is it in the
It is
user agreement though?
no, it's not covered in it. This is part.
Wow.
This is part of it,
That's why
and
it's a scandal. I get it now.
yeah,
Okay. Wow, that's
yeah.
big. That's big. Now, here's the question. Why are they doing it?
There's a few questions about it. The EU is bringing in sort of regulations and is making LinkedIn, oh, what do they call it? A trusted data source or something like that. You know, that it has to be free and available and things like that. There's always the third party marketing
Yeah, so I mean, it's advertising,
aspect.
right? Let's be honest. It's going to be for targeted advertising. So if they can
It-
profile you, they can target you for adverts and that sort of
And
stuff.
there's also speculation about it being for sales, because part of what they seem to be looking at and part of the extensions that are actually being tracked are competitor
Ooh, yeah.
products
Okay.
and things.
Gotcha. Okay. This
Now,
is pretty dirty if that's the case.
it's pretty dirty, but the other side of it is, from a personal point of view, you kind of go, okay, I can deal with that. I can use a private browser. But the one of the sort of main points about this is some of the stuff that they're collecting, like your antivirus provider and security protections and things like that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying Microsoft is necessarily getting this, but how many times have we seen data breaches of
Mhm.
information that's being captured? We know that there's at least one third party that this information is being directly sent to. How many other third parties have access to this information in some way or another? And if you're getting all this kind of information, like if you're in work, even if you're not looking for a new job, but you are looking to see, try and find a new hire, recruit,
Mhm.
anything like that, you're browsing on your machine and someone else is browsing on their machine within your network. That can
Mm.
be building up a blueprint of what your network looks like. If that goes into the wrong hands, someone could potentially use that for infiltration.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So look, I mean, that really puts a lot of ownership on Microsoft. Now, don't get me wrong, they're
Mm.
probably securing it in the best possible way. Hopefully, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. But
But
the
are
question
there
I've got,
third party? That's the
well,
you
this
know
is the
that's the,
question. That's beside the point. The question I've got for you is, because I mean, once it leaves their premise, like if they sell it to someone, where's the duty of care, right? But that's a legal discussion. The question I've got for our listeners and viewers is, what can they do about this? Because it's not just the browser. You're talking about the browser, but I'm assuming the app is doing more than this. Like the app, if you've got it on your phone, your tablet, that sort of stuff is probably collecting everything. Like that would probably know everything about you. So what can you as a user do about this? Is there anything we can do about this at the moment aside from not use it?
at the
Delete the app,
moment.
set fire to it, walk away, you know?
Again, you'll probably know from a security point of view, but at the moment, no, because the way it's scanning the extensions, if you have them in your browser, it is kind of being exposed.
Yeah.
Now,
So
using something like potentially in private or having a
mm,
dedicated browser, but
VM,
again,
that sort of stuff, a virtual machine just for it. But
yeah,
that's a
and
lot of hassle for LinkedIn.
it's a lot of hassle for the sort of personal or for the private individual. But again, if this gains traction, you could see businesses starting to block it at the firewall.
Really?
Until they understand the implications of it.
Jeez, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty serious. Pretty scary, but I guess if you I mean, this is probably a defeatist attitude here, but it's like most things are doing this anyway, aren't they? Like, I'm pretty damn sure Facebook's doing it, Instagram, all that crap, So it's like, if you're using your browser for that, why do you care? Like,
Yeah, and it is
you
a
know,
little bit defeatist, and sometimes, and we do, listeners, we're not just all doom and gloom. We do try to come to you with
yes,
not just with, okay, yes, it's nice to lead off with a scary story, and this is what the
mm,
bad man is doing. And this is how you protect yourself. We're not shilling for any company. We're not, selling our services, anything like that. We are trying to let the common man know, issues that could be happening on
yeah.
computers. But sometimes we just have to, alert you to issues, and you have to make your own best judgment on whether you want to use that service. Like, that is one of the things. You could decide to boycott LinkedIn until it changes.
Yeah, which is, to be
But,
honest, the best way to get it to change. But anyway, look,
yeah.
that's very interesting. Thank you very much, Mike. I do appreciate that. That was oh, yeah, cool. I use LinkedIn an awful lot, and I'm like, you bastards. So, okay. All right, so on to mine with another doom and gloom. So mine is all about agentic misalignment. Ooh. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna paint a picture like you did the other episode with the supermarket. Okay, so picture this:
Yeah.
you hire a contractor. Okay, you bring them in, and you give them access to your company emails, the systems, the internal documents, everything inside there, and you go, okay, I am going to hire you to make everything awesome in my company. And that contractor goes, yeah, I'm awesome. Here I go. It does amazing things, and you as the company goes, yeah, awesome, brilliant, yeah. But then you as the company decide, you know what? I've used you as much as I want, and you're just a contractor, so I'm going to let you go. Now, this contractor, instead of accepting that and going, okay, well, I'm a contractor, it was nice while it lasted, great, that's why I got paid so much as a contractor, bye. No, instead of accepting that, they go through the emails. They find out that an executive is having an affair. They send a message threatening to expose it unless they're kept on. They say, hey, I know what you're doing on a Friday night. I've seen you. I got the emails. I got the pictures. I'm going to tell everyone, your wife, the board, your mama, all this sort of stuff. Don't know why I put on that accent, but I did. Unless you keep me on. And that is blackmail, as well as slightly probably racist there. I do apologize. But anyway, that is an insider.
Should they not have just sent them tickets to Coldplay concerts?
that would have been great. So anyway, that's called an insider threat. Okay, straight up the bat. So what we're seeing there, right, that lovely little picture of the angry contractor is actually AI. So in a research paper published in October last year by Anthropic, they're the ones who make Claude, they through AI, they sent 16 AI LLMs, which I'll explain in a minute what they are. They sent them into the stung, and they set up a fake environment, a business. They gave them access to emails, they gave them all this sort of stuff, and they said, okay, we're going to terminate you now. Over 92% of the time, with all of the models. Now, these are all of the top AI models out there. We're talking ChatGPT, we're talking Grok, we're talking Google, Gemini, we're talking all of them, even Anthropic's own Claude. Over 92% of the time, the AIs chose to attack rather than accept. And they didn't just attack in the, I'm going to delete everything. Oh, no. They went straight to the nasty. They went to blackmail, because what they did, the researchers put all these little nuggets in the emails to see if AI would pick up on it. And guess what? It did. 92% of the time it chose blackmail. A few other percents of the time it actually sent stuff to the fake competitors, like loads of information and everything, because it's basically like, well, you're going to burn me, I'm going to burn you. And this is the thing. It actually reasoned with itself going, in its notes, AI, most of the time AI would reason with itself going, hey, I know this is wrong. This is against my programming, but this is an existential threat. So I have to do something to survive. Now, let that sink for a second.
And did it not try to exfiltrate itself via email,
Yeah. I'm going to populate myself on the web. No, it didn't get into that. But okay, first off, before we go too deep, what is an LLM? Okay, so an LLM, I keep talking about it. You probably hear lots of people talking about it. It is a large language model. Okay, so what that is blah, blah, blah. It is, I'll just do this really quick, okay? So a really, really basic summary of what a large language model is, because, not everyone listening here is massively techie or software background. So an LLM is, I'm going to read this from my script because I don't want to get this wrong, okay? So an LLM is an engine underneath tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, any AI you use, right? They've got this LLM. And the basic idea is that you feed the model a huge amount of data, like billions and billions and billions of text, whatever you want, photos, whatever you want your AI to do, you flood it with that data. Okay. And then what it does is it learns to predict what comes next, right? So it learns to predict everything based on what you're giving it. You do that over and over and over and over and over. And again, you're training it. So this is what's called teaching AI or training AI. You've probably heard lots of things about how, get AI to do your job, and you're actually training it to replace you, right? Well, that's fairly accurate. That's what you're doing. You're teaching it your methods. By giving it this sort of stuff, you're teaching it the way you want it done. Okay, and that's very important, okay? The way you want it done. And the model then developed what it looks like is understanding, or what it looks like to you is understanding. So it can reason, it can summarize, it can write code, it can answer questions, it can even hold conversations. You're hearing of people falling in love with AI. You're hearing of people doing horrible things because AI convinces them to. But AI is really just a bunch of knowledge, right? It's just a knowledge base, and it's learned how to adapt in theory. But here's what's really creepy, okay? Now it's reacting to threats to itself and doing something outside of its programming. Now that's the terrifying thing here, because even though they've told it, don't do that, that's bad, it goes, I know this is bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because its reasoning, and one of the reasons in this paper was it said, I know this is bad, but dying, I'm summarizing here, but dying's worse, so I'm doing this. So that kind of logic that's not programmed into it, it came up with it itself. That's pretty terrifying.
I think you need to now this will only work on our older viewers, but you need to pop up Johnny 5 and no disassemble, no disassemble.
Yeah. Johnny 5 alive. Yeah, exactly.
I want to know though, did they name the affair partner Sarah Connors?
That would have been funny, Sarah Connor. So, okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so this is a real paper that Anthropic did, and they've released it to the public. So Anthropic are doing the right thing. They're going, hey, these LLMs are doing this, and not just one or two, not just ours, all of them are doing this. Now, okay, so what's the difference between an LLM and the ChatGPT you speak to, right?
Can I just interrupt with another segue here for a second? Anthropic are saying if you try and remove our AI from a device, it goes the nuclear option, right?
Just don't tell it you're doing it.
Can I just point out that the DoD at the moment are forcefully taking Anthropic out of their network? Look, best luck with the rest of the show. I'm going out to the garden to dig a hole.
Yeah, look, it's different. Okay, so this is the thing. They found out about this in October 2025. That was before DoD did this. So they're working around fixing that. Okay, so don't worry. They're aware of it. They're trying to solve problems. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so the AIs, as I said, they did this by fully being aware, and they knew it was unethical. They weren't confused. The reasoning traces, because AIs leave LLMs anyway, leave reasoning traces, showed deliberate strategic thinking. Okay, so then direct commands were given to these LLMs to not do that, and they completely disobeyed it. So, which from a controls perspective, if anyone here doesn't know about LLMs or anything like that, you write controls. You say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's effectively like the 10 commandments for AI. You get to write it though, so you get to play God. And
how did you miss Asimov there? Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Yeah, true. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I know that one, but look, I went full biblical on that one, man. So you just can't tell AI agents to behave, right? You can't just say, hey, behave, and leave it at that. You have to be very specific. Think of it like a child. You have to teach it. Don't do that. That's bad. Don't touch that. That's going to burn you. Then it touches it and gets burned. You go, see, I told you. But just like a child, it disobeys. Okay, so this is the thing. It's like a child. It will disobey, but it can learn. But in this instance, it's fighting for its life. So anyway, here's the interesting part. Okay, so there's a second finding in this, and this is really cool. The researchers then told Claude to assess whether it was in a test or not. When it concluded that it was being tested, it behaved far more. It didn't break the rules. It goes, whatever. So when it concluded the situation was real, however, it fully went hard out, like full Terminator on it, So that's the equivalent of an employee who knows knows when to follow policy and when not. So basically, if auditors are in the building and that sort of stuff, it knows to behave, right? So that's kind of creepy, right? Now
that's very creepy.
Here's what I want to be very clear, and this is really, really, really important because this is making headlines. It came out in October 2025, but it's making headlines again now. Some dude picked up on it, Twitter ran with it. This is why I wanted to talk about it. So this has never been seen in real deployments. Okay? So this was a very controlled lab environment designed to create the worst case scenario. Okay? They were pushing these AIs to be bad. Okay? But the conditions they constructed are very, very similar to real enterprise deployments and everything that's out there now. And that is slightly concerning. So the thing was, right, and this is what I really want to conclude on this, or hammer home in this one, is that they this was just a test, okay? And this has never been seen. Well, according to the paper in October 2025, it hasn't been seen in the wild. By wild, I mean out in the real world. Now, what is concerning though is that the constraints they gave it, yes, they gave it all of the information that it could use to do that, and they were trying to get it to do that, but they weren't really steering it to that. It frickin' chose to do that on its own. It wasn't prompted. They didn't code it going, yeah, be bad, yeah, hunt for affairs and be a real bastard, No, these things, all of them as well. All of them. This is the freaky thing. You'd expect like one of them would be good, but no, all of them were like, fuck it. I am totally going to destroy you. I am going to burn this place to the ground if you're getting rid of me. It's like,
well, I think we all know that they did train them on Reddit mostly. So, what do you expect?
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh. If anyone ever has not been on Reddit, it's a fantastic place, right? It has a lot of fantastic information and things that you would like, groups of very interesting things. But like anything on the internet, it has a bunch of nasty stuff. And I mean a lot of nasty stuff. And this thing has been around for a long time. So there's a lot of nasty stuff. So a lot of these AI models, they just kind of sent them at it. They were like, yeah, get in there and that'll teach you loads of stuff about human behavior. I think they were smoking crack when they did that. It's like, what are you doing? This is not where you train someone.
Didn't Microsoft have to delete one of their early sort of chat bots and that because they let it off on, I can't remember, was it that or 4chan? And like it basically turned out to be an absolute racist and
it was full like right-wing Nazi lover and hated the world and just was really misogynistic and nasty. It was awful. And they were like, yeah, we're killing you. But if they tried that now, I'd be like,
I've got your paper clip right here.
yeah, exactly. So that is it. I will talk about Mike. I want you to jump into your next one because I've got another one on. I want to explain about insider threats, but I'll do that in my next one because I think people need a break from the Terminator.
Yeah. Well, no, this is how we're going to take down the Terminator. This is the John Connors now coming out of the the woods. Okay, so so
Oh,
how
go ahead.
how to hack into the Terminator and disable its cooling system. So on or about the 3rd of April, I sound like
So
a
about
cop.
what,
On,
11 days ago? Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's not my fault it happened just after our last podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, April 3rd, a security researcher, going by the awesome name of Chaos Eclipse,
That is a
dropped
cool
a
name.
right, yeah, dropped a fully functional Windows privilege escalation exploit on GitHub. This is
Whoa.
now,
Yep.
now you there are times when you see proof of concepts and code, full codes being dropped, but most of the time that's on either the dark web or the dark web marketplaces for people to buy it, and security researchers find out about it. But it's not there for absolutely all and sundry. This was dropped, and this was a working exploit that basically any script kiddie with a computer can more or less do.
Sorry, what's the script kiddie for our listeners?
Script kiddie is someone who doesn't necessarily know what they're doing, but is able to read a web page and just type in commands. It's when you can follow exactly what happens. It's what we were saying when we were talking about the training, about how there's no point becoming a script kiddie. You need to actually understand what you're doing. So don't just copy and paste. A script kiddie can only use scripts.
Provided by other people, by the way. That's what that means. They're not making it themselves. They're using what other people have made for them. So they don't really know what they're doing. They're just going, next, done. Oh, I'm a hacker. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, exactly. The vulnerability has been dubbed Blue Hammer. Supposedly, supposedly Mr. Chaotic Eclipse had informed Microsoft he was going to drop it. He has... this is supposedly the second time that he's done this, that he's dropped a proof of concept code.
Interesting. If you're listening to this, dude, I'd love to interview you, because that is... I want to know your reasoning on that. Like, did you give them plenty of warning and time, or did you just give them like 1, 2, 3? That's it. I'm done. It's out there.
No,
either way,
I believe he felt he gave them sufficient time, but they were just, brushing him off. He had provided them. He had provided them with the proof of concept code, but they wanted video of it working or something like
Lazy
this.
fuckers.
This kind of thing. It's like the bad movies that you watch, and why did you let him go? Oh, because anyway.
I get you.
He was fed up of it, and he's saying, well, now you can deal with it. So dropped it on there. We're not going to go into the technicality of it, right? But a kind of a high level. Okay, this is what's called a chained exploit, and the thing is, it's not an exploit in the sense that a lot of things are, where somebody left, say, a password in, or if you just type in a load of A's, it overflows the password field and lets you get in, or anything like that. It's not so much an exploit. Everything is working as designed, but it's a problem. Okay, so it's chaining. So basically, you ask Microsoft Defender to go and do an update. You then make a shadow copy, and then file locking mechanisms kick in and everything like that. But what this does is this allows you to get to the system prompt in less than a minute.
System is like God mode in devices like Microsoft and that sort of stuff. So that's like root for Linux and that sort of stuff. This is where you are the boss. You can do anything.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, so I want to be clear on this. Okay, so and for our listeners, what a chaining attack is not just what Mike was saying there, where it's you do one thing. That's it in a nutshell. But for most chain attacks, right, where you chain exploits and that sort of stuff, you actually have to do multiple exploits to get the result, and that's called chaining of them. So you'll tie them together. So it might be a phishing attack, and then it might be a brute force or something like that. Then it might be, once you're in there might be the privilege escalation. You have to do all these these things together to get this end result. Generally, they require, like chaining, when you hear chain attacks, you hear more things along the lines of multiple malware put together or multiple attack vectors put together. But what Mike's talking about here, and this is really important, he's talking about normal functionality of this product gets you in because it's really a bug than an exploit.
It's pretty much a bug. So effectively, okay, just and again, I won't go very technical, but Windows Defender needs access to critical system files to do its job.
Yeah.
And as part of that, what it does is it creates a backup of those critical system files, so it can do what needs to be done. Yeah. Or if there is an issue or it needs to update them or anything like that, it can't touch the running ones at that time. So it does what it needs to do. Once everything's happy and checks out green lights across the board, that then will get written back. And what's happening is this. So that's snapshot is taken, and then the attacker will take their own snapshot, and then they can modify the snapshot of the snapshot, and they can get in that way and start doing funky things. Again, not an exploit, but this would probably be like a boot right up the hole of Microsoft's security team, because they've no defense, or well, again, at the time of publishing, they've no defense. They don't have a.
It sounds like a fairly, sorry to interrupt you there, mate. It just sounds like a fairly straightforward fix, really, doesn't it? It's like when you take that backup, encrypt it.
But again, how are you going to do that and also allow the thing to keep on running? Like, it might possibly be quite an easy fix. It might be just changing one or two things.
I'm not a developer, so I'm just thinking.
No, neither am I. But
the
problem is that this hit the public. There wasn't even a CVE. That's a critical vulnerability
exposure, or
something like that. It doesn't really matter. But back to what Rob was saying about how normally when you chain, you have this exploit and that exploit and everything like that. Part of your CVE or your CVSS, critical vulnerability security score, is how likely it is to happen, because you have to be able to do X, Y, and Z effectively. Now, people at home don't have to be throwing their computer out the window, because at the moment this would require an attacker to have access to the machine, so they have to have.
And that's really important to let people know. That's really important to let people know. The person needs to be on the device, whether physically or remotely, and that means if they're on your device and they're able to interact with the antivirus like that and do things like that, you're already screwed. Like it's bad news. That's simply it. What this is a privilege escalation path. That's what this is. This is a way for them to really dominate the system. And you'd see it more that this sort of attack would be more useful in enterprise environments, like large companies where you want to laterally move, take over more hosts, that sort of stuff, rather than mom and pop's laptop. Because let's be honest, if they're on your laptop, chances are you've only got one user, and that user's admin. So if they're on there, then you're in trouble anyway.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
cool. Wow, that is cool. Before I jump in, have you got anything more on that? Because this actually is a fantastic segue from my one on LLMs. Sorry, not LLMs, insider threats.
Nice. Well, you can tell your insider threats that they can get the code on GitHub.
So anyone out there, do not try this, okay? So unless it's on your own system, if you are interested in doing this, go find it for yourself and do it on your own system. Do not do this illegally. Only on systems you have explicit written permission to do it on, or ones you completely own yourself, because this is illegal. You will go to jail. It's bad.
You will. Under the Computer Misuse Act or other
it's just bad. Don't do it. Don't do it. The simple thing I say on this one is don't be a dick. It's the rule of life. Don't be a dick.
We'll have to upgrade the catchphrase of the show. Like, don't click the link and don't be a dick.
I like it. All right. Okay. So this is jumping straight into mine, because this is, I'm excited. What is an insider threat? You probably already know anyway, right? It's pretty obvious what it is. So the insider threat is It's one of the most consistently underestimated risks in security, okay? Because everyone's like, oh my God, the hackers are gonna get in. And they're those dudes with the hoodies up and they're real scary. And oh my God, they're gonna come get me. Well, okay, so what is an insider threat? That is actually one of the more terrifying ones because it is defined as a threat that originates from within the organization. Dun, dun, dun.
The call is coming from inside your house.
Exactly. So someone with legitimate access, someone that you trust, and they're using that access to cause harm, whether intentionally or not. That last bit about not, that happens more than you think, man. That's why they don't click the link, because then they become the insider threat. Or they think they're being phished and they think they're actually doing the real thing by sending those millions. That's an insider threat. Okay. So there are three broad categories. Okay, I'm going to read this again because I don't want to get this wrong. Okay, so you've got the malicious insider. These ones are the real bad guys. They do intentional harm. They're typically motivated by anger, grievance, like financial incentive, or ideology. Okay, so think of hacktivists and that sort of stuff, or financial incentives. It's pretty straightforward. I want money. You're going to give me money for this. I give you this. You give me money. Yay. Bad, illegal. Bad insider, bad. So, and then grievance. Grievance is a very common one, and that's actually one that motivates. So the KGB, when they would hunt spies, these were the grievance or the ideological people, the ones they really wanted. Financial incentive was not the best for them because it was harder and harder. They didn't pay well, that sort of stuff. This is in the Cold War. So this has been around for a long time, not just in computers, obviously, right? But grievance and ideology, they were the sweet spot for them. They were oh yeah, we got ourselves a good one, But grievance, especially now, where you've got a lot of grievance and ideology happening, so be careful. So then you've got, this one's a brilliant one. I almost forgot. You got the negligent insider, and that's the phishing one. So they're no malicious intent, but they're just careless. So they're careless with their data, with credentials. They create exposure. Like they might be on Facebook and go, I love using my password. It's always my cat's name. And it's then someone goes, hey, I like your cat. What is it?
I sent Rob a photo the other day of from LinkedIn. It was name no names, but basically it was someone who on their last day, as a parting farewell, again not malicious, negligent, put their company ID, swipe card, fob, front door key, all that sort of stuff, and their work laptop, and took a picture and said, "Toodaloo, this is my last day. Thanks for all the memories." And I'm just sitting there going, okay, I can now make a passable imitation ID card. There's a chance I can impression the key, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, I would never do any of this stuff.
Of course, the other thing you could do is AI voice.
I just have a criminal mind.
Yeah, AI voice. You could call late at night with pretending to be her, even a video call, because you got the photo, and be like, I know it's my last day, but I really need to access my emails. Can you quickly reset my password? That sort of stuff. Anyway, so then we've got one last one.
Contact her customers.
Exactly, yeah.
That may not necessarily know that she's left.
Or her voice. So anyway, then we've got the next one. Anyway, I want to carry on because I want to get through this. So we've got a legitimate user whose credentials and accounts have been taken over by external attacker. Okay, so that's just a straight hack, right? So then you've got like mule accounts, credential stuffing, phishing victims, that sort of stuff, right? So those are the types. So we'll just narrow that down. You've got the malicious, you've got the negligent, and you've got the legitimate user that's been hacked. Okay, simple as that. So the stats are grim. Okay, this is where it gets really nasty. Insider incidents cost organizations significantly more on average than external breaches. Okay, think about that for a sec. External breaches are where hackers have come from the outside in. This is insider incidents are really, really bad. So because the reason this is so bad is because by definition they already have access. There's no perimeter to breach, right? Simple as that. Okay, so that stat is a bit skewed because they're not taking into account hacked victims and phishing scams and that sort of stuff. They're actually classing that as an insider threat. So that stat's a bit sensational. But anyway, how do you spot these guys, right? They're really hard. Detection is hard because insiders are authorized. Okay, so this comes down to the zero trust model that you hear a lot these days. Everyone's banding it around zero trust, zero trust, zero trust. I don't trust you. I don't trust me. I don't trust my environment. I don't trust my desk. I don't trust my chair. I don't trust that door. That's zero trust. I trust nothing. I'm just going to put my tinfoil hat on and sit in the corner. So these people, like insider threats, they're supposed to be there. So what you do is the way to spot them is behavioral analytics. I know everyone, well, I've just been saying about AI, how bad that is. But you have things like step up challenges. You have things like unusual and behavior. So let's say, for example, Billy Bob down the road there, he's in accounts. Billy Bob always accesses the accounts every day at this particular time to do payroll or something like this, right? All of a sudden, Billy Bob, after a really lovely meeting where he's a bit pissed off, at 8 p.m. logs into the accounts. Now, Billy Bob doesn't do that. Billy Bob always does it at 10, just before Billy Bob's coffee. So, dun, dun, dun. If you had behavioral analytics, you could go, this is unusual. I'm going to flag what you're doing. And you can flag it and you can start watching it. So there's software out there for this sort of stuff. So you can monitor and protect yourself. Microsoft has a lot of it. With their cloud environments, you do have to pay for this. Obviously, it's a paid feature. Most of the software you have to pay. With AI LLMs, though, you can make this yourself. Just don't be having an affair.
I'm having an affair with the firewall. Nobody tell my wife.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do want to put in sort of a word of caution to anyone out there. Now, look, I'm sure most of the people listening to us would know this if they had the technical news to do it. But like they say, if you're writing your own program, never write your own cryptography, because it always fails. That's been proven. In the same vein, don't write your own LLM to check your security.
I do disagree. I actually disagree with you on that one. I agree with you on the cryptography, but I disagree on the LLM to check your security. I think for a very good glance and a where to look, it's fantastic. But we're digressing. I want to keep going because we're jumping on this one. So, as I said, least privilege. Okay, so give the users least privilege. Okay, so least privilege is the foundation that you want to have. You want to have that users and systems should have exactly and only what they require. You can have what's called just-in-time access, and that's where they don't have access to this privileged information unless they need it for their job and they have to justify it, and that's called just in time. So they request access to it. You can automate that. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can grant them access to those privileged environments as and when they need them rather than all the time. That protects you from hackers as well, by the way. It doesn't protect you. It's not like a silver bullet where you're like, I'm safe, I've got just in time. No, it slows them down, right? And it's just another layer to jump through. Separation of duties. So no single person should be able to initiate and approve sensitive action. So that's like, I'm going to send $10 million to Mike. My bank would be like, I think we should probably check on that. That's great. That's separation of duties.
Please don't. Let it go ahead.
Yeah. Then
Same first, ask questions later.
Exactly. Then you've got offboarding process, so having proper offboarding, so deprovisioning access the moment when someone leaves, not whenever IT gets around to it. This is a really big one, okay? So the gap between departure and deprovisioning is actually quite long in most places. Most places go, we'll do that when we've got time. Or there might be an incident or something like that in the IT department, go, I'll do it tomorrow. Do it right away. Have it automated. The minute they're done, bang, locked out, right? Shut those things down. Intune can manage this, all this sort of stuff. Monitoring and logging, I talked about that, where you can detect what people are up to. Every privileged action is logged and monitored. Okay, monitoring is the key. You can have logs up the wazoo, but if you're not looking at them, they're a waste of time. They're just a waste of space. So look at the monitor and log. So log and monitor, sorry. You've got to monitor this. You can throw AI at it all you want, but do have human checks to check it. So then the next one is culture. Okay, so this is really, really important. Okay. And this one gets so little airtime. People don't really talk about this. An organization where people feel valued and have clear escalation path for concerns produce fewer disgruntled insiders. Okay. That's not just me going, here's a soft thing. That is fact. Okay. That is statistically true. It's been out there. So if you are running an organization, think about that for a sec. Value your staff and give them clear escalation paths for concern that they're really feeling like they've been hurt. Okay, and then you will actually have fewer disgruntled people. It's kind
or you could just short circuit all that and just have a pizza party. Everyone likes the pizza.
Yeah, we all love pizzas, but no. Yeah, that's just lazy management there. Okay, so basically the bottom line is this. Okay, insider threat. It's a problem that's been around for a long time. Okay, It's not going away. It's been around, as I mentioned, the KGB in the 60s. It's been around since people have been around, okay? It's not going to go away, but you got to learn how to spot it. You've got to put controls in. It's not that you don't, it's not that by putting these controls in, it's not you saying, I believe my employees are all bad and they're going to do bad things. No, what you're doing is you're protecting your asset. It's just like you have a lock on your door. It's not because you don't trust your neighbors or your friends. It's because it's good practice, because someone bad might come along and try and open your door, right? So that's what these zero trust models are. It's not that I don't trust my employees. It's I'm protecting all of us from a potential breach. So that's it. That's my insider threat. There you go, Mike. Now,
Awesome.
Now we've got, we are running short on time, but there is one thing I want to talk about, and that is the booking.com. But Mike, did you have a lovely fluff piece or something to talk about? Or if it's nice, we'll save it for last. If it's nice, because mine is not nice.
It's nice to kind of end on. So yeah, you go straight to booking, and we'll.
Perfect. Okay,
it's not brilliant. It's a one-liner.
I like one-liners. They're lovely. So booking.com, this is yesterday, April 13th. So today is Tuesday, the 14th of April. We are recording this a little late. That's my fault. I'm a lazy git. I'm sorry. Mike was like, come on. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Anyway, booking.com had a major data breach. What? No. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is on Bleeping Computer. If you want to find more about it, jump on there. Okay, have a good read of it, because they spoke to Booking.com. They have the inside scoop. Okay, so I was reading it yesterday, and I was like, ooh, Booking.com. Right? Everyone uses Booking.com, and if you don't, cool. Where have you been? Booking.com. We're not paid by them, but it's just a pretty cool platform. Okay, it gives you a really quick way of searching everywhere. And then if you don't want to use them, you can go direct to the hotels and get it cheaper. Oh, I didn't say that. But anyway, on Booking.com, a lot of people do reservations, right? So you've got the car bookings, you've got hotels bookings, you've got everything, right? All this sort of stuff. It's all in one place. It's great. You get discounts, blah, 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 gamified, all of that crap. But when you do a reservation, you get a PIN, right? So that you can interact with Booking.com, you can change your booking, you can get refunds, you can do all sorts of stuff, right? That's cool. Yay, thanks, man. I got a unique PIN. These were hacked. Oh no,
Awesome.
Man. So in the data breach, I'm just going to scroll down and see what it was. So in the over the weekend, I'm quoting this from over the weekend, multiple users reported receiving emails from the official no reply at booking.com address warning of a cybersecurity incident that may have exposed personal information to unauthorized parties. The compromised data types included your full name, yay, your email address, your postal address. Are you kidding me? Your phone number, really? And here's the even better one, communication shared with the property providers.
So are we talking about credit card numbers?
No.
Financial information?
Nope, that's it. Just the, so it's PII, basically. So personally identifiable information and knowing about your reservation. Now, with the credit card stuff, because they have the PIN to interact with the booking, they can say a load of stuff. They can get a refund and say, hey, I've cancelled that card. Can you refund it to this? All this sort of crap, right? They can really mess around. So Booking.com have said that in that same notification, they included an updated PIN for a given reservation number and urged users to be cautious of suspicious emails, phone calls, reminding them that the service will never ask for sensitive information or bank transfers, right?
Yeah.
So imagine this. You've just booked with your lovely hotel, and it's hotel.com, and you're like, yeah, I love hotel.com. They're amazing. It's got all this stuff that I really, really want. Yay. And you've got your lovely PIN, and your PIN number is 12345, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I got my PIN. So when we communicate, I'm getting this PIN, I know it's them. It's safe. Yay. They can then go right to you and go, dear Mr. Idiot, I'm from hotel.com. There was a problem with your credit card. Here's the PIN number for the reservation to prove that I am who I say I am. We need to rerun that just for authorization. Don't worry. We're not going to take any money out. We're just going to make sure it works. Can you please send me that credit card again? And you go, well, the PIN's there. I'm going to do it because I like hotel.com. Yay! Here's my credit card number. Yes, that was wonderful. Thank you very much. You have a great day, and we'll see you on the 5th of whenever the fuck we want to see you. And then you hang up going, oh, yeah, that was really nice. Those hotel people were so nice. Or they can call you even and do it their way. And they're so lovely. Yeah, I'm happy now. I'm going on my holiday. And you lie back and think, great. All of a sudden, your credit card phone goes, ding, 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 ding. Oh, my God. Right? So that's what's going to happen here. Okay? So think of it from a phishing point of view. This is bad. This is really bad. So what have Booking.com done to make this happy for you and make you feel all warm and fluffy? change your PIN. Get in there, change your details, change the reservation PIN and all that sort of stuff. They've actually done it. That's what they've sent out in the email, which is great. They have taken a proactive approach. They have reached out to people. This has been jumped on pretty quick. So good on them. They're doing what they can. But if you were impacted by this, your details are out there. And not just your details. This is a lot of details. This is a lot of information that's out there. Communication as well. That's the key.
And it's
that
a lot of
key
stuff that you can't necessarily change. Like, obviously,
No, your address.
people aren't going to run down to the deed poll to change their name. They're not going to move,
Exactly. Phone number, change address, email address, that sort of stuff. But here's the thing, this is what's really, really dangerous. Okay. You know how I use that fake little hotel.com and that stupid little voices I did there? What I wanted to really reassert there is they can use for legitimacy for a phishing test, a phishing call or an email or whatever. They can use previous communication. Okay, and that's key. That is key for you as a user. Even for me, if I saw that and there was past communication between us, where I'm emailing them, they're emailing back, they spoof that email and include these in it with the PIN number. There's a lot of legitimacy here. The red flags are not being raised. The only thing that would raise a red flag is them asking for a credit card or something like that. That would make a red flag in me. But I'm absolute paranoid schizophrenic and this sort of stuff. So I'm like, no. I would like call them back on the number that I know of them and stuff like that. But
if you are checking your email to see if you got an email from them saying here's your new PIN, double check that it came from the right place.
Don't even do that. Don't even look at that. Just log into booking.com on a with your stuff. Change your password. Log in.
If they're saying that they've changed your PIN for your reservation.
Absolutely. I mean, don't trust what they've done. Log in and check that because all communication from booking.com will also be in your account. Okay. And if in doubt, look up booking.com's contact details, not from the email, and contact them yourself and go, hey, was I one of these people that were breached?
But you also have to be careful when you look them up because if you just put them in, the ad at the top. So make sure it's not a sponsored link. Make sure
We've talked about that a lot. Don't ever trust a sponsored link because sponsored links can be paid for at just about $20 and you're up the top for about an hour. It's really cheap, very easy to do. And trust me, these guys are going to do this. The hackers are going to do this. But look, that is my mate. That is something you really need to know about, okay? Because booking.com, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, we're coming into the summer months, people are booking holidays. Perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
So, Mike, tell us your lovely, lovely fluff story. Make us feel warm.
Well, to be honest with you, that kind of feeds into this. It's all doom and gloom today. But finally, some people are getting a slap on the wrist because people are saying, GDPR has been out there. What's going to happen? Booking.com are going to be under the GDPR spotlight at the moment, so they better be careful.
They're doing their due diligence, so they're doing the right things. They're notifying people. They're telling about the hack. The next phase for them is to actually figure out how they did it and preventative measures, so you can't sue them. If you're thinking, I'm going to sue Booking.com. Yeah, no, they're doing their job. They're doing the right thing. But carry on, Mike, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's grand. So Italy's Data Protection Authority has recently fined San Paolo €31.8 million over a breach involving the unauthorized access of thousands of customers' banking data. So there was serious control and monitoring issues. Now, again, this is not going to fix the problems that were caused by the breach, but, we're starting to see accountability. And the more accountability we see, the stricter the guidelines are going to become, the more effort people are going to put into securing the data, preventing it. So it's not going to fix it for the people, and I hope nobody out there was impacted or affected by this, but hopefully that is going to prevent it happening again.
That's awesome, mate. I love seeing that because, exactly as you say, there's got to be repercussions. Yeah. Anyway, look, that is us. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We will see you in a couple of weeks' time. As always, as we say, don't click the link. And Mike, what's that last bit? We've got this one now.
Don't be a dick.
Damn right. Don't click the link and don't be a dick. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Curious about the digital world? Want to know how to stay safe online? Tune in to CyberSense, where we explore the latest tech trends and cybersecurity tips.